Corruption is everywhere in Washington now more than ever, but Trump wants to pretend against all evidence coming out every day that somehow he's anti-corruption and he's anti-elite, despite being a billionaire who is enriching himself more than anyone else in the country right now in a million different ways. So he needs a distraction. So right now he's pointing his base at Nancy Pelosi. And he put this up on True Social. Crooked Nancy Pelosi and her very interesting husband beat every hedge fund in 2024. In other words, these two very average minds, does he not think they have minds? Beat all of the super geniuses on Wall Street, thousands of them. It's all inside information. Is anybody looking into this? She is a disgusting degenerate who impeached me twice on no grounds and lost. How are you feeling now, Nancy? So here's the thing. Has Nancy Pelosi used insider information to personally enrich herself and her family? Yes, we have been talking about that for literally years. She has definitely done that. You know who else who's done that? Everyone in DC who can. All of them. That's why it should be illegal. It should not be a thing of just don't choose to do it. Don't be a degenerate. You should not legally be allowed to do that. And we've called for that. But you know who has the shakiest ground in the country to be pointing their finger at her? Donald Trump. And you know how I know that? Because I've been conscious for the last decade, but in particular and recently. So they in Congress have this bill that's working its way through to ban stock trading, finally, for members of the government. And in that bill, they have a specific carve out so that Donald Trump will not be affected by it. So as he's like, she's a degenerate, she's using insider information. They're like, oh, we really want to get a handle on this, but Trump will lose his mind if he can't be corrupt. So we're gonna change it so it doesn't go into effect for the president until after his term is done. It is a carve out for one man, a corruption loophole for Donald Trump. And honestly, as if he needs it. The dude has done every day there's another grift, there's another massive private jet, there's another payout or lack of or deregulation for the crypto industry that he's now in. Every day he finds some way to personally enrich himself, and yet just go for Nancy Pelosi. That's it. And honestly, it's a great evasion, distraction. They'll love it. They're probably not even gonna end up passing that bill, JR. That's my suspicion. And along the way, he's doing other stuff that doesn't get as much media attention. So he recently did this executive order allowing private equity to use these alternative investment mechanisms or whatever. And that can now get in on the 401k game, which they've been wanting to do for literally years. It's this massive thing that generally was protected, so more reliable investments were the only ones that can make up your 401k, because people's future relies on that. We don't want some tricky pizzicky thing that Wall Street cooked up so they can make bank right now, and sure, it'll blow up or whatever. We don't want that in our retirement funds. But Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about your retirement. He gives a damn about Wall Street. So he just opened the way for more of that, including, by the way, cryptocurrency, which means that he will benefit from this. Him and his family, which not only owns individual coins, but exchanges for cryptocurrency, are going to personally enrich themselves off of this. And so did Nancy Pelosi use sensitive information to enrich herself? Yes, and I think she should be investigated. Donald Trump is signing executive orders to give himself more economic opportunities. It's insane. What do you think?
I remember when this guy first came in and there was all these conversations about him enriching himself through his businesses and divesting and making sure his dumbass children will actually pay attention to it and he's gonna not have anything to do with it. That was like the very beginning. And people were talking about this doesn't make any sense. Look at where we are and how normalization of bad behavior really works. And the only way that he thinks he can continue to distance himself from that or get off on a get out of jail free card is to bring up Nancy Pelosi, just out of nowhere. Just like when JD Vance brought up Democrats when it comes to the Epstein, or then when he was still trying to cover up more of Epstein. Let's bring up Obama and Clinton, just anything you can. It's like, hey, go look that way. And it keeps working. Look at the way that he bragged about his billionaire friends making money off of his head fakes when it came to his tariff policies first coming into place. And he said, look how much money he made. He bragged about it standing in the middle of the White House. Like, look, he made all that money. I act like we're gonna do tariffs. We did it for a second and then I backed off it and the market rebounded right in time for them to make tons of money. He's so smart. He's bragging about doing exactly what it is that he's accusing other folks of. But as long as he says Nancy Pelosi, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden, It's get out of jail free card time. And you know what? It's worked this long for them because we're that stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, I'll tell you the last few things that we talked about together to end this thing. Like, this stuff is so see-through for us, but unfortunately for MAGA, it never will be. Like, they're angry. They know that they're being abused by the elites. It is the easiest river to divert ever. Just point them at Nancy Pelosi or a trans butterfly swimmer or whatever. But the thing that they can't divert as readily is the economic damage. Like, when they destroy your 401k, you're gonna notice that, I think. And then look at people's rising disapproval for Trump on the economy. That is a thing that is changing. Every month that number is changing a point or two because people actually see it. It's not as easy to distract them. I mean, we'll see. Maybe they won't vote based on that in the midterms. Maybe they'll be convinced that, yeah, we got to get rid of those DC slums or whatever Janine Pirro said to me. But at least they are noticing how his economic policy is not working. Donald Trump, in his little Truth Social thing, in all the other terrible stuff that he says or whatever, he throws in this one little point of crooked Nancy Pelosi and her very interesting husband. Do you get what he's doing there? That's not about the crookedness or the stocks or whatever. That's him referencing back to the jokes and stuff that they came up with after Donald Trump and his movement worked a madman into a frenzy, tried to go and assassinate Nancy Pelosi, and instead nearly murdered her husband. And then to distract from all of that and how terrible and how we'd crossed a dark line that we never should have crossed. Oh, what was he doing with a man in his underwear? That's what Donald Trump is doing there. Donald Trump, who should never, ever mention Paul Pelosi in his life after what he did, is instead years later advancing this idea that, like, no, it wasn't actually about the stuff that it was explicitly about. No, that was just a gay hookup that got him hit in the head with a hammer. That's what Donald Trump is doing there. So, like, if anybody ever makes you feel bad about criticizing Donald Trump or looking ahead to the day when he finally leaves us or celebrating on that day or popping champagne on the episode of the Damage Report that you're hosting that day, I want you to remember stuff like that. It is earned, okay?
If you enjoyed that, make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming an actual member. But you're probably wondering, why the hell would I do that, John? First off, calm down. The stakes in this are very, very low. But also, when you click the join button and you become a member, you get access to bonus content that I make every week, and it's a ton of fun. You get access to tons of custom emojis and more besides that. By the way, if you join at tier 3, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself and other awesome people, and we always have a great time. By the way, you'll get all that going forward, but you also unlock years of the back catalog. That is literally 100 or more bonus clips, top 10 lists, debates, and more. What are you waiting for? Click the join button below. Your support powers our show, and we couldn't do it without you. Or at the very least, I wouldn't really want to try. Viewers like you keep me here. So thank you in advance for joining.